Hey everybody, I hope you're having a fantastic day. This is my 2022 office tour. And so we're going to take a look. It's kind of scary how much stuff I accumulated since last year's tour. I didn't actually watch it, but I can tell that there's a lot more stuff in here. So I'm going to kind of give you the overview of the office so you can get the perspective of everything. And then we're going to get a little bit more detail. So let's start out up top, and I still have my organization system up here where I keep everything in these bins. Absolutely love it, and it's a really good way for me to determine when I have too much of something. If it doesn't fit in the bin, I don't keep it. For instance, I do not need another micro USB cable, and if I get one, I either throw that one out or I go in the bin and I find a worse one and I throw that out. Coming over to this side, we have some miscellaneous stuff. There's my Ethernet and HDMI cables that I need quick access to, some vintage parts, my Hakko Desoldering, and my networking stuff. And over here, I have discs and vintage components, which let you know a little scary secret. About 6 months ago, I didn't have any vintage components, and they're already taking over the office, so we got to figure that out. Got some enclosures for projects, some old stuff, some panels that are like car panels and things like that I can put stuff on. The transformer for my train tracks. For those of you guys who haven't seen this, this is a train platform up top that can drop down so I can work on it. I stopped using it when I was building this thing over here because this thing turned into a ladder during construction and my cat could get up there and cause terror on the trains. So I need to go back to putting that the trains up there and stuff. So up here I do have some more storage. A few of these haven't been labeled yet because they're new, but we have a lot of vintage stuff and vintage connectors, as well as fans and cables and things like that. And the very hard to keep 5 1/4 and 3 1/2 inch floppies and CDs and stuff like that. And there's my favorite combo floppy drive up there. I've used this space to store some components that I got in bulk really cheap at the flea market. There's a couple things. Let me pull out a couple to show you. I do have your basic resistors and stuff like that, and this is kind of a grungy case, but I also have these, things like ATX style connectors and stuff, and then just bunches of weird components like these big heavy duty 10 watt resistors and things like that. Got the whole bundle of stuff for like 20 bucks or so. So there's a lot of it. There's like 9 or 10 of these bins of just weird hardware. As far as this area is concerned, I have my Ryobi charging station and my old trackball thing over here. I've got some storage for some things I need quick access to, like video adapters. I keep a couple USB adapters in there, some SSDs and stuff like that. Then I have my mission control station, which I haven't done a ton with. I added that button thing with it. I think you guys saw that. I've got the RAS pad, which I still don't use that a ton. I did add this panel down here, which I'll show you in a minute. Back when I was up in Maryland renovating that house, I bought this Atari little controller thing here, and I did set this thing up for some retro gaming. So I've got all the old emulators on there. I've got Commodore and TI and Apple and all that kind of stuff, as well as the arcade games, and all that is being run off of this Xeon up here. So I've got the Xeon, I think this is a 6-core server, 32 gigs of RAM. So this just kind of powers everything up top. I did make this little button to be able to add coins to the game system. This controller didn't really have a way to hit the add coin button or start, so I think it won't make some noise because I've got it quiet at the moment, but I can come in here and you can see that now all of a sudden I have 7 credits in there, so I can push that to add a coin and then obviously push the player 1 through whatever start. I really love these USB and HDMI inputs I put in here, so I can obviously plug in my controllers and stuff, and then I can also just plug a device like a laptop or something in here, or even my USB to VGA or USB to analog adapters and stuff like that I can put in here and put the stuff on this screen. Now my plan is to make it so that anything that goes on this screen over here also goes on this screen over here. Right now they're independent, but I do have a VGA cable and an HDMI cable running between them. So I do need to get this area under control. This is Project Legacy on top, and it is my retro computer that has the micro SD to IDE adapters and the Gotek floppy adapter and CD and 3.5-inch floppy. And this thing will run anything from DOS 2 through Windows 2 all the way up through Windows 95, Millennium, even XP if I really want it to. But then below I have a system that is more made for running Windows XP, Windows 7, all that kind of stuff. And you can see they both have floppy drives and things in them. So if I need to just quick in a hurry have access to a floppy drive or a zip drive or any of those types of things, this allows me to get those things. Now what I do want to do, I have this on a KVM which is just laying on the ground there. I want to put the PS2 connectors up in the desk like I have with the HDMI, so I can just put a keyboard on the desk and not have this janky setup. So over here I have the two cases that I bought from that place that was going out of business, and that one on the left really speaks to me. So I am thinking about maybe retro brighting the front and maybe even powder coating the back. I haven't decided, but I want to make that into some kind of kick butt DOS gaming system. So that's my plan, and I'll probably be getting rid of the other one on the right. So somebody made a comment in my last video that they couldn't ever figure out where the door was in the office. So it is over there. And then as you come in the door over here, we have the Mr. Cool air conditioner, which is the second air conditioner I've put in this office since I came in here in 2018. But I seem to like this one a little bit better. The other one had a leak and was just really obnoxious. I sort of have my catch-all down here. I feed the cats and just any kind of, my vitamins, just anything I want just right when I get in the door is in that little Husky tool chest. Coming down here, we have the kind of wall of stuff. I sort of might get rid of some of this stuff. Since my computer is over on this side, you're always looking at this section when I'm doing Zoom calls and things like that. So it's kind of weird. I'd kind of like a little bit better backdrop over there. Let me give you a rundown of some of the stuff I have here and what I think about it. So this is the newer Ryobi dual temperature glue gun, and I'm not really in love with it compared to the old one. So I'm a giant fan. I would say the Ryobi regular glue gun is probably top 5 tools that I own. Things like thumb drives and staple guns and carabiners and projects in motion and all that kind of stuff. Just I know where everything's at, but I kind of feel like it looks like a mess. My cat's flea medicine and stuff like that. This is sort of the catch-all section. So over here I did add my old cutting mat that was kind of torn up and the microscope, so I could do a little bit of work on that over here. I've got the little fan that I use for drying glue and stuff like that. I switched to the Ryobi fan for that. So this section over here is my soldering section, and I got rid of the big soldering station thing, and I am in love with this little heat gun. I love using it for things like heat shrink and stuff, just the way it wraps around and heats up quickly, kind of gets out of the way. So I've got this over here. I'm also I really do like this Magnifying Light. I had a video about that. And I also really like the Hakko Soldering iron. I hate the way you change the temperature on it, but everything else about that thing is just magical. I've got my little homemade solder spool there. And then in here I keep some kind of quick tools and stuff for when I'm soldering my meters and some things like that. Then up top, let me get you pointed up that way. Up top we have a lot of zip ties and cutters. I love these little magnetic rails. They're just really good to stick things on kind of quickly while you're working. Coming down here we have my wires. I'm guessing you guys have seen this. We have all of my DuPont wires, or at least the used ones, are all in here, divided out by section. I started using this little pan. I'm doing a lot more motherboard repair. For some reason I find motherboard repair relaxing, so I've got my vinegars and alcohols and things like that in a pan to where I can just kind of dump things a little bit more. One of the things I wanted to do is I didn't want to like specifically clean the office up for this. I wanted you guys to see it in progress. This is how I live. Sometimes it's neat, sometimes it's not. Usually it's somewhere in between. But I've got all my clamps, which I don't use a ton, and my tapes, and my wire, which I use a lot. I keep my CDs. I still do burn a lot of DVDs and CDs up here. Just random storage in here. I don't know. This isn't the most efficient storage, but the thing is, I know where everything's at. So that's kind of helpful to me. Like, I know that if I need a quick gel cap or something like that, like I keep a couple in here. Now I have another place that I put them, but this is kind of my quick access. I don't want to go digging for stuff. So yeah, I mean, like I have the resistors that I use most commonly. Now I do have the big set of resistors over there that I pointed to earlier, but you know, if I just need a couple of quick resistors, you know, I know that there's going to be 220 and 330 and 10K and all that kind of stuff in there. So coming over to this side, this is the YouTube / electronics side. And I did break this out a little bit to where I'm primarily just doing YouTube and actual electronics over here because as I started working on more vintage stuff, it required me just constantly getting out enough stuff that would just trash the whole office. And I didn't really like that. So over here I have my Ryobi Dremel type thing that's on these screws. I can just move when I need to, but it's on the wall, so it's kind of out of the way. It's kind of an awkward tool to store. I have all my various tools somewhat divided out by purpose and how fast I need access to them. I have my tape measures and quick access bits and the basic Ryobi tools that I use every day. I've got my spray cans, the Kaiweets HT116A or whatever it is, 8A stays over here for electronical purposes. Up top I have my meter probe storage. I'm really kind of getting into having the options to hook up my meters and my bench power supply with these kind of cool connectors, just different options. In fact, the other day I needed to work on my bathroom, my hidden bathroom door, and so I didn't have a good place to hold the meter, so I got some of these chunky things here that could clip the wire and just allowed the meter to hang in midair, and I knew that it was going to stay because these are good quality wires. Coming over to this section, I have a monitor up top there that I use for you know, just any quick work when I need to hook up a PC. That's just a VGA monitor that can hook up a PC in a hurry over here if I want to do a little bit of work. I've got my bench power supply. Love that thing from Circuit Specialist. That's that triple power supply. I did a video about really phenomenal, like not just because they sent it to me for free, but it's a phenomenal piece of equipment. I have the signal generator behind it. The scope was over here, but I decided to move that to the other section. I'll show you that in a minute. I have my YouTube filming apparatus up here. These are two separate things where I switch the head on, but this thing allows me to drop down and kind of film a little bit more closely and sort of gives me some range for going up and down. And then this is the IKEA mirror hanger that also has a quarter 20 mount on it, so I can get shots out here from the side. The perfect thing I think would be a pole that I could slide the thing up and down on, but you know, right now it's pretty decent. Then this TV over here shows me what I'm filming. So if you think about it, the camera's over my head and I'm generally looking down, so I can't see what's in frame and what's not. So having this thing over here allows me to really see what's in film so that you can see my low quality YouTube videos. Over here is another one of my favorite devices, that pluggable dock. I use it for, right now I've got it for archiving hard drives. So this is a great device. There's a lot of different versions of this, but I recommend this one. This has power to power some of the power hungry drives, but this will do SATA and regular IDE and laptop IDE, and even has the power cord for regular IDE. So basically this thing can archive, you know, all the 2.5 and 3.5 inch drives since the mid 90s, which is pretty sweet. So I use that thing non-stop, and I connect it to the pluggable docks. That allows me to have a good USB 3 connection to my computer, but be over here on the workstation. So occasionally I use those monitor outputs and stuff like that. I do keep my new DuPont wires in here when I'm doing projects. So these are ones that have not been torn apart for the most part. I mean, I'll throw an occasional one in there, but for the most part, that's what goes in there. You guys have seen my computer a bunch of times. It's a what is it? A Ryzen 2600X. So probably due for an upgrade, but to be honest, I mean, I you know, to me, the ability to display 6 monitors is way more important than the actual horsepower. So that is my computer. Oh, I did miss this thing over here. I am probably getting rid of all this stuff. There are 7, you can't see the top of the one, but there are 7 IBM 5150s and IBM 5160s, which is just an absurd amount of computer equipment down there. So I might keep one, and I'm not even 100% sure I'm going to keep one, but I have been fixing those motherboards and all that kind of stuff as kind of a hobby. But I will be most likely getting rid of that bulk. Okay, so if you were to go to the left of my computer, we go into kind of the storage room and what's become Studio B. This room, again, didn't clean it up for you guys because this is what it looks like when I'm working. So up top, I have a bunch of sort of more modern vintage computers, you know, things like Pentium 2 and newer, a couple of XP boards up top. There's a shelf back here. My cat really loves keeping an eye on the whole office from back there. Over here I have, these are just primary old monitors and stuff like that, storage. This section down here is going to be for doing a little bit of retro brighting and some EEPROM erasing and stuff like that, where I need just massive amounts of UV light, so I'm going to be able to block this off. I'll come back to that section in a bit. This is what I refer to as Studio B, and this is Studio B sort of in action. There's a an IBM 5150 original IBM PC motherboard in the background. This monitor on the right is what I look at when I'm filming YouTube videos. So when I'm filming, I can just glance off to the right, see what's in frame. The monitor in the back is the computer screen. So if I have a computer hooked up, that's what I'm generally looking at. I can reverse it. I have the ability to just flip-flop them, but underneath I have kind of my quick access things. So I have, I always keep an IDE cable over here. I have my bench power supply I've talked about before. A lot of times I use that to put very small amounts of current through a motherboard. This is the XT to IDE adapter, which is just a fantastic way to hook up an IDE drive to an old computer. I have this thing that I made in a previous video, which is a GoTech floppy emulator and an SD IDE adapter. I've got the Aining 888S, fantastic little bench meter up here. And then I have this ATX power supply with just crazy long cords that basically I can keep it up top there and drop it all the way down and just keep the power supply out of the way while I'm working on stuff. So over here I always have it's nearly impossible to deal with all the wires because I work with so many different types of things. This thing is amazing. It's a little hard to see. I'll have to do a video on it separately, but this is a Raspberry Pi Zero with the HDMI adapter out and this thing I attached on the side that allows me to basically hook up any old computer and output it to HDMI. So in that case, this one generally goes over here. But essentially I can put the old IBM, this is it's hooked up right now to an EGA card. I can do CGA, I can do monochrome, I can do all the various old school graphics cards and put them up on there, and it's phenomenal. Back here, let me get back here for a second. Back here, I have a whole bunch of old hard drives. These are MFM and some older IDE drives that need to be archived and stuff like that. I try to clone these drives when they first come in before I do very much to them, just to make sure that I have the data. If there's any cool software or drivers or anything like that I need, I try to turn them into VMs. Over here, this area is going to get cleaned up, but these are all motherboards that I've repaired. This one looks like a little more visible. These are all motherboards that I've repaired. Things like that's an IBM 5160, an IBM XT motherboard. So things like that. You need various keyboards and stuff like that. So you can see this one is for XTs and then this one is for ATs. So if I need a keyboard, I don't have to go trouncing around looking for one. There's a gallon of the bleach stuff for retro brighting back there. Here I have an Apple IIc that I repaired. First Apple I've ever really worked on in my life. But that one is good to go. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. I haven't decided if I'm going to retro bright it or not, but it's at least going to get cleaned up and out the door. And over here I am stress testing an Arduino for way more time than I expected to do that. So we'll see if that ever makes it into a video, but essentially, yeah, I'm torturing an Arduino. So I'm getting ready to ship out a bunch of stuff, so I am saving way more boxes than I would normally ever save. I've got all my things up there because I'm going to be shipping a lot of those 5 1/4 inch full height floppy drives and things like that. I decided to hang my trash bag. It might have been like that last year, but I do just hang my trash bag in front of this thing, and then this is sort of a catch-all. I do some projects, some drill bits, some tools, just kind of things I want quick access to. My latest thing is these were on sale for $10 at Home Depot, and what I've decided to do was to break out my stuff And so this is all the red, you know, connectors, the squeezed stay-on connectors. And I've got blue below it and yellow below that. And so I'm about to do my labeling system so that I can tell what they are in a hurry. But I think there's like 30 of them total between both shops. So the idea is you can just kind of grab and go. It's a little bit of a pain to have them stored that way, but I think in the long run, like if you can't find it, you might as well not have it. So yeah, there's that. And then now, speaking of that, I've also added a bunch of hardware to this section here. So I have, these were all in my garage before, but my garage was hot and all that kind of stuff. So all this hardware has been organized and stored in here. Let me get you going down here. So they're not full, and that's kind of part of my plan, is to not have them completely full, but I've started organizing them, you know, to where you can kind of get to things. And there's enough room so that if I get something new, I can have some room to put it in there without having to rearrange my whole life. This panel board is primarily bike repair parts, and then this has sort of been a catch-all for retro stuff and stuff that's going to be in future videos. I have my teardown box below that red bag. I have some old stuff in here, like I had this off because, like I said yesterday, I was repairing this door, so I had the whole panel off here. But I have things like old tape drives and you know, iOmega Jazz drive and some new old stock or beat up old stock video cards and things like that that are for future projects but not necessarily urgent. And then just keyboards and stuff like that. One of the things that I have really liked is this cart that my wife gave me from her classroom. So down in here I have, these are all motherboards that are in need of repair. You can see I jotted down that this one had acid damage over there, and so it's a shame because it's an Intel overdrive socket too. But we've got quick access to mice and ATX connectors and where they DVI cables and VGA cables and power cables, and you know, just some miscellaneous parts that I pulled out of things like transformers and stuff. So I like that because that can kind of just go away. Yeah, so this is kind of the shot of that whole room, seeing it in perspective. I still have my bike repair stand that's back here. I just pull it out when I'm actually repairing bikes. Got my dartboard, more magnetic stuff. These are some quick access tools that I like when I'm working on the computers. So there is my office. I work ridiculously hard, but I'm also ridiculously blessed to get to come back here to my office and have a loving wife who supports me and all that kind of stuff. Every one of these stickers is a sticker of a company. Now, I don't usually put their actual logo up here, but this is a company that I have shipped something to as far as a decent sized project. So it's just very cool whenever I get down, whenever I get frustrated with code and think of myself as a horrible coder, which I am. You know, I'm just reminded that I've been so blessed to work with all these awesome companies around the world and to ship these products. And I guarantee you this, it is pretty much impossible to go through a day without interacting with at least 3 companies that I have written software for. So it is very cool to be able to do that in this office, and you know, just to come back here and work and to share this stuff with you guys. I appreciate you watching. If there's anything you want more information about, if there's anything you kind of spotted in the video that you want some information about, shoot me a comment below. I'll put links to a couple of things that I talked about in the video in the description. It's always helpful for when you guys use the links and buy stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's great for the channel, great to encourage me. So anyway, that's my office. Thanks for watching.